What's going on, guys? Got another comic book haul video for you. I picked up all these books a few weeks ago, right around New Year's. They were doing the big flea market out at the Kentucky State Fairgrounds here in Louisville. So they do that every couple months. I think I posted a haul video from the was it Labor Day was the last time I think they had the flea market. So right around New Year's they did flea market out there, so I picked up all these from there. This first batch of books was from a vendor who used to have a comic shop here in Louisville. He's called the name of the shop was Potato Man's Comics and Cards. It was back in the 90s, but it went out of business. But he still goes to the flea market to get rid of all that inventory he still has from back in the 90s. So this first batch of books is from him. This first one is Marvel Superheroes Fall Special from 1992. Paid $4 for this. This is even though it's from 1992, it's the first chronological appearance of Rogue. It reprints, you can see up here, Miss Marvel. It's a Miss Marvel issue 25, I think, which was supposed to come out in the late 70s, early 80s with that Miss Marvel run, but it got canceled with issue 23. So 25 was never printed until this came out, and that has the first appearance of Rogue in it, even though her first actual appearance, I guess, was in Avengers Annual number 10 that came out like in 1981, I think. So this is kind of a weird book to have, but for $4 I snagged it. I remembered it was something weird. I couldn't remember all that when I was flipping through it. I just saw the Ghost Rider cover and remembered it was something, so I snagged it. That's a newsstand. It goes for about $50, I think. So I was happy to find that. Next, got another classic book from the 80s. This came out in 1988. Punisher War Journal number 1. So I'm working on the early Punisher War Journal stuff. Number 1. This is a Carl Potts cover. Jim Lee, of course, did a lot of these, starting with I think 5 or 6, and did 10 or 12 issues, and then Will Spartacio did a run on here too, I think. So I'm trying to get all those collected. This one was $10, which is about market price for this, but I was happy to pay that because I got a deal on that other one, and then I got some Turtles books for cheap that I'll show in a second. Next one is Spectacular Spider-Man. This one was $2. Got the shiny foil 90s cover. Beautiful gimmick cover there. Giant 200 size issue with Green Gobbo on there fighting Spider-Man. So I was happy to find that. This one doesn't go for anything, but it was originally cover price $2.95, so I got it for less than cover price. Next, we got What If number 9. This is from the first volume of the What If books. This doesn't have any special significance to me or anything. I just like the What If books a lot. So anytime I find them for cheap, I'll snag them, even if they're meaningless. I just like the stories, and this one's kind of cool. It's got what if the Avengers were formed or fought evil in the 50s. So you got Quasar. He's the only one I recognized. Quasar. They call him Marvel Boy here. This is before he became Quasar, I guess. And you got this guy who's Gorilla Man, Human Robot, 3D Man, and Venus. It did not come with 3D glasses, so I don't know how we're supposed to see 3D Man in there. Next, we got Special Edition X-Men number 1. This is just a reprint of Giant Size X-Men number 1. It didn't. I know some of these reprints came with toys and stuff. This one I don't think did, though, because it's got a $2 cover price on it. I checked the copyright date on the inside. I think it came out like 83 or something, so not that long after Giant Size X-Men 1. And these don't go for anything. $5 or so online. This cost me $2. So I've already got Classic X-Men number 1, which is a reprint of the Giant Size X-Men as well. I like that cover a little better. That's an Arthur Adams cover. This is a Dave Cockrum cover. It's a wraparound cover. It's not bad, but I like the Arthur Adams one better. So here are the Ninja Turtle books I picked up. This first one is Tales of Ninja Turtles number 2. So this is from the first volume of the Tales of Ninja Turtles. Mirage also published this. This was going on at the same time as the original run. It just had these Tales books as kind of, I guess, one-offs or one-shot stories that were happening outside of the main continuity of the Turtles books. So I got number 2. That one was $4, and number 3 also for $4. These go for, I don't know, maybe $10 or so online. So I was happy to find those. Number 6, I think, which he did not have. It's either 5 or 6. Is the first appearance of Leatherhead, that the mutant crocodile. But I already had that already, so I wasn't too upset. And then last Turtles book here is TMNT number 27. Picked this one up for $6. This is from 1989. This is from the original volume 1 of, excuse me, of that first Mirage run. So anytime I can find those for, relatively cheap, I'll pick those up. And then so that's the last of the books from Potato Man. And all the rest of these books in the stack were $1 each. Last Ninja Turtles related one is this Grimjack number 26. It's got a early color appearance of the Ninja Turtles. I think I showed this before. They reprinted it in like Munden's Bar Annual number 1 or something. But this is the actual issue that it appeared in. It's got the Ninja Turtles hanging out in a bar, getting some drinks there, getting into a fight with some roided up alien with weird horns. Then they start drinking. Then there's a karaoke dance contest. Then they start dancing. Then the tentacle guy gets them. Then I can't show you what happens after that because it's not safe for YouTube. But I was happy to find that. This one doesn't really go for anything either, but I didn't have the original appearance of it yet. Like I said, just in that reprint of the Munden's Annual. So I was happy to find this one for $1. It was funny, I found this one probably at like 3 of the other booths. I'd never seen it before in person. I knew what it was, but this was the first time I'd found it in person, and I found it at like 3 different booths, but I only picked up 1 copy. Alright, use that for the back. Yeah, and there's Potato Man. He's still got his stuff stamped with the original address. That's kind of funny. Alright, next got some video game books here. Got Mass Effect Foundation. So Mass Effect is one of my favorite video games from the last, 15 years or so now. First one came out in 2007, I guess. So it's been a while, yeah. So I played that one, the first one, a lot. Went through the whole game probably 10 or 12 times. Played the second one a few times. Third one I only played once. It was fine. The first 2 were better. Really liked the art style and the world building that they did in those games. That was really cool. So I'm going to start picking up these comics. There's only a few series of the comics. This one I think ran for about 13 issues, which I think might be the longest running series. But there were a few other series that ran like 4 or 5 issues. So I'm going to slowly try to acquire those as well. So I found number 1 and number 2. Number 2 is better than number 1 because it's got Rex in there. He's just one of my favorite characters from the video game. Just kind of a brutish dude that has a funny voice actor. So when I was reading the comic, I could hear the voice actor from the video game in my head. So that made it a little more enjoyable. Next, I got Robotech number 1. This is from the Wildstorm series. I think this is from the early 2000s. This is kind of just a rehash of the original Macross books. This first one happens, this book ends right when the SDF crashes into the Earth's atmosphere and then crashes on that island, onto Macross Island. So even though there's cool Veritex on the cover, there's none actually in the book, unfortunately, but I just really liked this cover, and it was a number 1, so I snagged it. Next, we've got these incarnations of immortality. This On a Pale Horse. This is number 1. So I think I talked about one of the issues. The first one that I had picked up was number 3. That was actually signed by one of the artists or the writers that I found at a shop in Lexington a couple months ago. So I found number 1 and number 4 as well. And these are pretty thick square-bound books. Let's see, no staples or anything. And I just really like the art style. Everything's painted, so that's kind of cool. It's just an adaptation of this book. The book was called On a Pale Horse. The series is called Incarnations of Immortality. There's a different book for each incarnation. So this first one's about death. The second one, I can't remember what order they go in. There's one for war, there's one for fate and time, and then the devil and God maybe too, I think. So maybe I can't remember what the other ones were, but it's a good series. I usually don't like fantasy, but this takes place in modern day. It's kind of a mix of fantasy and a little bit of science fiction, I guess, in there too, but it was pretty enjoyable. I remember liking it when I read the series back in middle school. So I'm happy to find the comics. I think they only did the adaptation for this first book, though, and there's only 6 issues, so I'm just gonna put that together, I think. Next, we got Fearless Defenders. This is number 8. So this series I just liked because of the covers. It's Mark Brooks did all the covers. I think this runs for like 13 issues. These don't go for anything on the secondary market, but I like Mark Brooks as an artist, so this looks like kind of a fun series. It's kind of a group of, I think it's all female superheroes. I think this is Valkyrie on the cover here. I'm not 100% sure. Doesn't say Ellie, but I think that's who it is. But one of the covers, I can't remember what issue, 3 or 4, it's kind of like a video game character select screen. That's the first one that I saw. I saw that in the Half Price Books last year sometime, but I didn't pick it up for whatever reason, and I kind of regretted it after I left, so I'm just gonna start collecting these because Mark Brooks did the covers and they're kind of fun covers. Alright, so next here we've got some Jim Lee goodness. We got Alpha Flight 66. He just did the cover on that one, and Alpha Flight 67 just did the cover on that as well. Unfortunately, no interiors, but anytime I can find early Jim Lee stuff for $1 each, I will pick it up. Another video game book here. Got Gears of War source book. It doesn't have a number, but I guess it's 1. I think it's the only one that ever came out in comic form. This is just a cool Stephen Platt cover. Again, I like the Gears of War video games. I played the first 3. Enjoyed those a lot. Not much of a story, other than aliens invade and these big dudes who call themselves Gears fight them back, and they have really cool chainsaw assault rifles. So it was a fun game, not too deep or anything, but just cool graphics for early Xbox 360 stuff and fun to play. So picked up the source book. It's kind of got a little prequel story in there for the first 10 pages, and then the rest of it is just a bunch like splash pages for artwork from some of the characters. It's got a couple of renditions of Marcus Phoenix, who's the main character there on the cover, and then some of the bad guys in there as well. So that was kind of cool. Stephen Platt did this cover and the cover for number 1. But the cover for number 1 is basically just the Gears symbol on there. So this is much more in his style. You can tell it's Stephen Platt, and he's one of my favorites, so I was happy to find that for $1. Next, we've got Fist of God, number 1. I had no idea this book, or anything about this book. The cover just caught my eye, and then I looked on the inside and saw that Bruce Timm did the colors on the cover, so that was cool. The guts of this book are black and white, so he only did the colors on the cover, and that's all he had to do with the book. But I looked it up, and there's a 4-issue miniseries, and he did the colors for the covers on all 4 issues, so I'll try to pick those up if I see any of the other issues. But this was the first time I had seen it, and like I said, just cool looking cover, so I snagged it. Next, you got Ghost Rider number 30. This is from the Volume 2 Ghost Rider from the 90s. Just slowly trying to piece this run together. Still have most of the early issues except for the first one. That one, number 1, goes for probably about $20-$30 now. I'm hoping I find it for cheaper than that before spending the big dollars on it. But basically all the other ones you can find for in the dollar bins, so I'm picking those up. So just a cool cover. Got a weird spear going through Ghost Rider's head there. Yikes. This is more run filler. This is Guardians of the Galaxy 27 from the 90s run, the initial run. Not a great cover, but this is one of the few that I need for the run. I think this ran for issue 60, maybe. So I've only got a few more of these to fill out the run. I was able to find number 1 for cheap. I think I got that online from like a Facebook auction for like $1 or something, so I was happy to find that. Next, you got Shanna the She-Devil, just a cool Frank Cho book. He does the interiors on this as well, so I'm going to pick this up as I come across it. I can't remember how many issues this volume goes for. It's not too long. It might be 6 issues, it might be 10, somewhere around there, but Frank Cho doing Frank Cho on the outside and the inside, so that was kind of cool. Next, got Radioactive Man 216. So even though this is number 216, it's actually number 3 of 6 in that first limited series that came out. So Radioactive Man, I can't remember if the very first one was actually numbered number 1 or not. I know it was a glow-in-the-dark cover, but I can't remember if they actually numbered it number 1, because the conceit is that these are the issues that Bart collects in the Simpsons universe, so that's why they have weird numbering. These would have just been the comics that Bart collects, so they're not sequential. They didn't come out in like sequential. It wasn't like number 1, then number 2, number 3. It was, I think number 1 might have been number 1, but then number 2, was like 57 or something like that. And then, like I said, this one is number 216, even though it's only number 3. But I was happy to find it for $1, and it's a newsstand. So, very cool, very cool. Alright, next we got some Silver Surfer run filler. This is 19, 29, 52. This gets into the Infinity Gauntlet stuff, which is cool. Oh, 51, should have shown that one first. Cool Galactus cover. And 56, cool Thanos cover. And Thanos is doing some weird things with Mr. Silver Surfer because he's got him on a leash and got like somebody on his lap. But, whatever. More cosmic stuff here. We got Silver Surfer Warlock Resurrection number 2. This is just that mini-series that came out. This is 93, I guess, so right around the time Infinity Crusade was coming out. Got Warlock number 5. This is that mini-series. I think it ran for 6 issues. It was just reprinting a bunch of Warlock's early appearances. This reprints Warlock number 15, a Marvel team-up with him and Spider-Man. That's why you see Spider-Man on the cover there. And then it also reprints the first part of Avengers Annual number 7, which is early Thanos, and it might be the first time the Avengers fight Thanos, I can't remember. But it's first appearance, I think, of the Infinity Gems, and yeah, so that's kind of cool. I never had Avengers Annual number 7, so I was happy to find this. It only reprints, I think the first half of it in this particular issue, so I think the second half might be all of issue 6. So, don't have that one yet, but looking forward to finding it. Next, we got Echo of Future Past number 1. This is an anthology series that Neil Adams kind of curated back in the early 80s. This was from 84, I think. The cool thing about this is it has the first appearance of Bucky O'Hare here. It's got a little 9-page story with Bucky O'Hare. So that was cool. Bucky O'Hare, I did not know this, was created by Larry Hama, who rose to fame, of course, doing lots of G.I. Joe books. And then it's also got a weird story from Arthur Sidem that has some weird, like, troll, weird giant dude who is urinating in a dock, who is just being rude. I think even before that, yeah, look at him. He's like farting on his castle, making London Bridge falling down. Just a rude giant, just doing all kinds of gross things. So this one actually goes for between 20 and 30 bucks because of that first Bucky O'Hare. So that's kind of cool to find. Next, we got Sensational She-Hulk 15. It's a newsstand. This is the first appearance of the Gray She-Hulk. She's there on the cover. I found out about this issue from Bullseye Comics. I'll throw a link to his channel in the description for this video. He does comic haul videos too, and he has a similar taste to my own. So I was happy to link to him and watch all his videos. You guys should check him out. He does good content. So I was happy to find this. This one goes for, I guess, about 20 bucks now too. But will likely pick up more heat once the She-Hulk show starts. The only other book that I have left that I'm going to sell is this Sandman 25. Picked this one up for $1. This is the first appearance of the Dead Boy Detective Agency, I think it's called. They're either going to be in the Sandman show or rumored to have their own spin-off. This one goes for about 20 bucks as well. I never really got into Sandman. I'm not really into Neil Gaiman either. I've tried reading a couple of his novels, just not my thing. But I know people love him, so I'll watch the Sandman show probably, or at least give it a chance just to check it out. So looking forward to that. Alright, got some Wolverine run filler. This is number 9 from his first ongoing series. Got number 15 and number 49 newsstand. Just a cool Mark Silvestri cover. And I didn't know when I was looking at Larry Hama's stuff. I saw that he had actually written issue number 50 of Wolverine, the one after this one, obviously, with the that die-cut cover with the claw marks going through it. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, and then last we've just got some X-Men run filler. Got starting with 236. I'm just trying to piece together the X-Men stuff from, I don't know, maybe 200 to 300. It's about what was around when I started collecting back in the late 80s, early 90s, a little before that, I guess, with the 200s. But that's when Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee started on it, so that's kind of why I care about it. So this one's cool. It's got 236, Mark Silvestri cover. 237, this is not Mark Silvestri or Jim Lee. This is, I think his name is either Paul or Steve Leonardi. He did a lot of stuff on Cloak and Dagger, but this one was there in the run, so I just snagged it. 238, got another Mark Silvestri cover. 239, this is the first cover appearance of Mr. Sinister, so that's kind of cool. And then it's got Madeline Pryor on there. Really cool cover. And then 240, another Mr. Sinister, Madeline Pryor cover, and it's got Sabretooth down there, and it's a cool looking book. And then 241, and then the last one here is 247. Now this is Silvestri on this one as well, and then of course the issue after this, 248, is Jim Lee's first X-Men work. So that will do it for now, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a good day.